Good morning. Welcome to AM Prime. I'm Leanne Jones, and it's finally the end of the work week. It's Friday, July 8th, and boy, oh boy, I for one am happy to see the weekend in sight. We've got a lot lined up for you this morning, so let me take you through the rundown. The CEO of the Solid Waste Management Company Limited, Mr. Kevin Thompson, is here with us to speak about, amongst other matters, the security breach at its Silot facility earlier this week. We also have Kareem Marcel, youth activist, and he will share his thoughts on the protest action from the residents' perspective. We'll also take a look at the results of the Newsday poll and the latest clinical update from the Ministry of Health. After the news later on in the show, Artistic Director Delano J. Manganu will be telling us about his upcoming dance events. Joining us now is SwimCall CEO, Mr. Kevin Thompson. Good morning, Mr. Thompson. Not hearing you, Mr. Thompson.
I'm sorry. Good morning, and good morning to your viewing audience.
Okay, good morning. Welcome. Thanks for being with us. Can you tell us the extent of the damage at the SwimCall compound at Silot after Monday's fire?
Certainly. We have had a couple of containers damaged that house both personnel and equipment, and we had damage to our tire shredder, and we are still assessing that damage, but currently the cost is north of $1.5 million. I think I would have said a couple of days ago we had started assessing at $500,000. Now we are now at 1.5 million, and we continue to assess the total cost of the damage.
Thank you. It was reported that a particular piece of machinery was severely damaged. What is the final?
Yes, that particular piece of equipment, a tire shredder, which we use obviously in the tire operations, has been significantly damaged by the heat. We continue to assess whether or not we can use the equipment at all. That piece of equipment was purchased at over $1 million, so it is significant. And we do have other pieces of equipment that have been affected, and one major piece of equipment which thankfully was not affected as we continue to assess.
Okay, and so therefore, what is the impact on the operations at the facility this week?
Well, it's going to set us back. I think at minimum, we will not be able to conduct operations as we had been doing for at least a fortnight and probably more. Some of the equipment parts that needs to be replaced, those parts are not stocked in Trinidad. They would need to come in. So we are looking at least, I would say, 2 weeks to a month before we can get restarted. And we continue to assess whether or not we can, in the short term and over the longer term, find somewhere else to place the facility.
Yes, that was actually my follow-up question. There were reports earlier this week that the management of the company was considering moving the facility. Is that a reasonable option for you?
It's a tough option for us. It's not our preferred option, but given the risks that are presenting themselves, as a prudent management team needs to take this under advisement. And certainly, if our facility is going to be used as a source to create further mayhem in the capital city, we certainly have to take that risk very, very seriously.
Understood. Mr. Thompson, let's move on. I want to ask a little bit about the Integrated Sustainable Solid Waste Management System project. What can you tell us about the project at its current stage?
What I can say is there has been a national policy in place to have an integrated solid waste management system. That policy is currently being updated under the auspices of the Ministry of Public Utilities. We did participate in some discussions hosted by the Ministry of Public Utilities earlier this week at their office in Alexandra Street. And the feedback from the other public sector agencies is quite positive. What I can also say from the SwimCall side, the Integrated Solid Waste Management System proposes a new way of dealing with waste in Trinidad and Tobago. It proposes not just sending everything you have into the landfill, but really considering that 84% of what goes into the landfill, which is recyclable, separating it at source with the participation of the broader population and creating entrepreneurial activity and creating a more sustainable and circular economy for Trinidad and Tobago. So it's something that we are really hopeful about and we've received positive feedback on, but I will wait till the close of those consultations. And I believe written comments are due in 2 weeks' time. But from SWIMCOL perspective, we are going ahead. We have started 2 years now with the new engineered landfill at Forest Park, which is part of that integrated system. And that new landfill, we have already conducted several studies and we're in the process of conducting a waste characterization study, which should finish early in 2023. And that will bring us to the end of phase 1 of that project.
Okay, thank you. And I'm not too sure if you'll be able to share, but the proposed, based on the proposal, would the sorting of the recyclables take place at the facilities as well, or would it be shared among the different landfill locations at the moment?
And that's an excellent question. What we envisage in the very early stages, we will, as we close the existing landfills, the current plan is to have those act as material recovery facilities. So the effect on the municipalities should be minimal in the interim as they continue to bring the different waste streams to the existing facilities. And then we would take those streams and give them off to the entrepreneurs or the industry groups that will take care of, steel, plastic, paper, whatever the material is. And what is truly meant for the landfill would then go to the landfill.
Okay, and is it fair to say that with the revamp or with this new solid waste management system, is it fair to say that the aesthetics, if you want, of the landfills at the moment would change drastically in terms of the smell, the look, the pollution? Would that greatly be reduced?
That is not only fair to say, that is our hope and the goal. And if we operate an engineered landfill, there is no need for the smell and there's no need for the sites. We're fundamentally changing the operation, and we know we are no longer commingling a number of diverse items from different sources, but we are truly putting things where they belong. I think, which is where we need to be as a nation that's 60 years old this year. We need to be looking at things in a more holistic and a sustainable manner, remembering that we are but stewards of the country for those that come after us. So yes, we want to move away from the smells, move away from the fires, move away from the activities, the negative activities associated with the landfill, and present something more sustainable to the country.
Mr. Thompson, I can imagine that with as I understand, the pockets that are caused when the garbage is compressed in the landfills, that is the result of, that's what causes fires that takes place time to time at the various landfills and contributes to pollution, especially with the major issue topic of climate change and pollution and the contributors of said pollution. The fire at your SWIMCOL facility on Monday would have generated, as I can imagine, a lot of toxic fumes going into the air. Is there any way to measure what came out of that fire on Monday in terms of pollution?
And there certainly is, and our HSE team was on site measuring the air quality. I would just like to go back to what you're saying about the compressing of items at the landfill. We are currently in discussion with the NGC group. The fact of the matter is, in all landfills, or in any way for that matter, it's a simple chemical equation. If you degrade the organic material without the presence of oxygen, what is going to be formed is methane, which is natural gas, and carbon dioxide. So we are in discussion with NGC to harvest that methane. As you've quite rightly pointed out, there is a negative effect on the environment through greenhouse gases, and methane as a greenhouse gas is, I think, 40 times or more deadly than carbon dioxide. So we are investigating actively the ability of our landfills to harvest that gas and actually put it back into the national pipeline grid. As you know, we're suffering a natural gas shortage on the one hand, and we're venting it to the environment on the other hand. So we are looking to both commercially support SUMCOL and at the same time do something positive for the environment.
Well, that is certainly one for the books if that is achieved. And as I imagine, it would be part of the Sustainable Waste Management System project. It will
Exactly,
fall under.
yes.
Understood. As I understand, there are 5 stages of the project. Correct?
That's correct.
I understand that there are policy revisions, as you stated earlier. But do you have a projected completion date?
I would say yes. The current project plan calls for the engineered landfill to be in place in the 2025 timeframe. The 5 phases that you mentioned speak to treating with the building of the landfill. So this phase 1 is about ensuring that all the studies are done. Phase 2 is to get the conceptual design right. Phase 3 is to actually start to build it out. Phase 4, we need to construct those material recovery facilities, as you mentioned, so that we can stream the waste, stream the resources before they get to the landfill. And then Phase 5 deals with the remediation and closure of the existing landfill. So we have a holistic approach that all sits in a policy context, which, as you noted, is being updated so that we can all sing off the same hymn sheet, as it were, and ensure that we are doing the right things for Trinidad and Tobago on the whole.
So we can't exactly put a date or year to it just yet.
Well, we are projecting 2025.
Okay.
If I had all of the money in my hand right now, I would tell you that is a firm date. I do not have that, and it depends on the funding from the government, and we are also looking at funding from external agencies. So there are some hurdles to cross in terms of funding, but in terms of the other plans, so we will continue. And we can continue to make plans to close the various landfills. We actually have a remediation plan already in place for the Guanapo landfill. We will continue to do that for Forest Park and for Beetham. But the money that's required for construction is somewhere in the region of $500 million TT. So we will need to get funding from the government. We will need to get the support of the government. And that's why this work that we're doing with the policy to ensure that we're in alignment with government policy, I think is critical work.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Thompson. Now, speaking of the health and safety issues at the landfills, in light of the recent death of Mr. David Charles at the Forest Park landfill last month, what safety protocols are currently in place to prevent such incidents as these?
As I would have said in the national community, salvagers are a significant population. I think at both Beetham and Forest Park, we're talking about 80 people, plus or minus, on a daily basis. What we have done in the short term, under the same integrated solid waste management plan, and as we transition to engineered landfill, the plan always was to have these salvagers in cooperative, and those cooperatives can then conduct similar activity to what they are conducting now, but we think in a safer manner. The board, in discussion with them in late June, they have directed me to move forward with those plans. So we are looking at advancing those plans to have those cooperatives in place. What we have done since the untimely death of the salvager was to take the names and really start to collate those names with the intention of briefing them, giving them a safety briefing to ensure in the short term, while we advance the other plans, that we can assure ourselves of their safety. And just to say, it's a very dangerous exercise, but these activities have been going on here, I think, for over 40 years now. So it's really a wonder that more people have not been hurt But we are trying to do our part and ensure that we can, at least give them some safety training. We are going to post more signs. I've discussed at the JSC last week the challenge of fencing around 40 hectares of property, and even at the transfer station this week, what we would have seen is that facility at Sealot, which is fenced, when they attempted to get access to the facility, the fence was cut. So it's a very simple matter, particularly if your business is scrap metal, to take the fencing. So it's a challenge for us, and we are part of a system that allows for subsidized waste management in Trinidad and Tobago. So the consumer in Trinidad and Tobago does not pay to have their waste picked up, does not pay to have their waste sorted, does not pay to have their waste finally remediated, does not pay to have their waste stored at the landfill. But all of that cost is being borne by the government through its various agencies and ministries. So there's an opportunity here. We need to, both look at, and that's where we're going as well with the integrated solid waste management system. Look at the incentives as they are set in the system, really challenge the population, and we're quite happy with the voluntary participation in recycling. But we need to go further. We need to have some structure. We need to challenge the population to live in a more sustainable manner and to consider that their actions and the things that they put into their waste bins, 84% of which is recyclable, has the opportunity to create economic activity here in Trinidad and Tobago, and has the opportunity to provide jobs to a number of people, including salvagers. So, we look forward to the integrated solid waste management plan coming into full, and the policy coming into full fruition.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, I have to ask, however, is salvaging legal? Is it a legal act?
I would say yes. I mean, if you think about it, and just to give some context, the salvagers do provide a valuable service to the country. As I said, what the normal consumer, the everyday citizen, puts into their waste bins is not segregated in any way. The salvagers, and if you visit the landfills, while I am speaking about 80 to 100 people on a daily basis and at two of our landfills, the salvagers are taking material out. That material is being put into containers, it's being put into 20-foot and 40-foot trays, and it's being moved for export, where it earns foreign exchange and provides jobs to the persons involved in the trade. I was about to say gentlemen, but it's both gentlemen and gentlewomen. So there are a number of people involved in it. Is there a law preventing someone from sorting garbage and finding what is productive and valuable in it? The answer is no. And to the benefit of the country, it is estimated that about 25% of what goes into the landfill is taken out by the salvagers. And what that means is for our landfills, which are already past capacity, for the 40 years they've been in operation, that means that another 10 years of waste would be in there, and it would be far exceeding the current parameters that it already has now. So, short answer, salvaging is not illegal. Longer answer, it is a sensitive issue where a benefit is being provided to the country somewhat invisibly, but at the same time, it has to be done safely and sustainably. We cannot operate in a way that allows people to get hurt and damaged.
That would have been my follow-up question, because while I understand 20% is a significant amount of waste that is being sorted, as you said, which is a plus to the facility and to citizens alike, and you said 80 to 100 persons per day, at each facility
Yes.
visit the facilities to salvage.
Yes.
But given that this was not the first incident of its kind last June, between 2016 to 2022, there were about three deaths at your two landfills, at Claxton Bay and at Beetham, I believe. Is there a need, would you say, for not just stricter OSHA practices, but maybe considering these salvagers are so valuable to the process, is there a need for maybe a regularization of the concept of salvaging and salvagers?
Yeah, totally agree with your concluding remark, and that's where we are going. That's where we are making the efforts around supporting the HSE education in particular for the salvagers. But just to clarify, some of the past incidents relate to. So this to my mind, and I'll stand to be corrected, is really the first death of a salvager per se. We do, quite unfortunately, from time to time find bodies, particularly of children, at our landfills, which is a real shame for us as a country. The last death prior to this was of natural causes in the landfill, and I think the one prior to that was someone working with a truck that ignored the signals, and that's a very serious issue at work in terms of work. So that matter is under litigation, so I'm not free to speak about it. But the issues are different. It's not the same thing. It's not all lumped together. This is pretty much a very unique situation, but its uniqueness does not stop us from trying to put better things in place. We've identified that something detrimental has happened, and we, as a responsible corporate citizen, ought to take steps to do better for all the stakeholders concerned, whether they are there at our sanction or not, and whether we can control them coming in or not. We will try our best to provide an environment where the loss of life or damage to human life is at a minimum.
Okay, thank you so much for clarifying that for me. I just have one more question based on what you said earlier about the cost to the government for waste collection and, of course, the processes that take place in terms of sorting and management of the waste at the facilities. Under the new waste management system project, is there a possibility that citizens would be required to bear some sort of cost, even if it's a minimum cost for this service?
And that's a policy decision that the government will have to advise on. That is a possibility. However, I think I can't speak for the government in this space. What I can speak about is the context. Local government reform, I think, is an opportunity for citizens to be better informed about their impact on the environment and their impact on their local community. And at SwimCall, as part of our school outreach, we have a very simple slogan: my community is my responsibility. And that's a challenge that I would hope that each of us in our various communities would take on and really consider the impact that we are having on the broader environment. So I can give you examples of other countries. In some countries, your land and building tax rate is related to how much you waste that you generate. So if you can participate more in recycling, then your rates go down. And if you participate less and you put out a lot more waste, then your rates go up. And I think that incentivizes people to think about it. I don't know what the government has in mind. I don't know what their policy position is, but I would certainly hope that some sort of incentive would be brought to bear. My own personal feeling, aside and apart from SwimCall, my feeling as a citizen is that if we continue down the road with excessive subsidies, we will find ourselves stifling innovation. And I think that's a challenge that we have. If there is no fiscal benefit to me personally to do the responsible thing, then why do it? So you have those who might have lived abroad, who have been better educated in the space, that will do something different, but others who have not been exposed and are not incentivized will do the wrong thing, and that will be the majority of the population. I don't think that's where we want to be as a country. I don't think that's the aspiration of any of our citizens. So if the policies can align themselves with incentives to do the right thing, I think we will be moving forward as a country.
Okay, thank you so very much, Mr. Thompson, for your time this morning. That's all the time we have this morning. Thanks for joining us, and do have a pleasant day.
Thank you. Have a great day.
That was Mr. Kevin Thompson, CEO of the Solid Waste Management Company Limited, shedding some light on the company's projects. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will look at the Ministry of Health's latest clinical update.
Artist sale at Softbox Gallery. For 2 days only, a sale on paintings by artist Real Leasing. The public is invited to purchase original oils, acrylic, charcoal, and watercolor paintings created between 2011 and 2021. Friday 8th July, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday 9th July, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Softbox Gallery, number 9 Alcazar Street, Saint Clair. For more information, email realleasingartist@gmail.com or follow her on social media at Real Leasing Fine Art.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fanzone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
The best birthday gifts are at thebesttoys.com. Shop for the best brands you love at the best prices. Like VTech, Leapfrog, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cocomelon, LOL, Baby Alive, Crayola. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship MacBean. Shop online now at thebesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 32DBEST to order. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
There's a taste in the air everywhere. Feel the vibe, cause it's something to share. Smooth, rich and creamy, you'll find it right here. Makes you smile, relax a while, it's fun and good cheer. Ooh, enjoy every scoop. Ooh, every taste will get you hooked. We have flavors that you love, a combination special. Come along, enjoy our treats. This is Uncle Pete's.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome back. Let's now take a look at the Ministry of Health's latest COVID-19 statistic update. The total number of recovered patients stands at 157,715 patients. The total positive cases from 12th March 2020 to today stand at 167,896 cases, with a total number of 6,160 positive cases. New positive cases are 116 reported in the last 24 hours. The number of deaths stand at 4,021, with a total number of 92 patients in hospital. That was the latest from the Ministry of Health. We're now going to take a look at the Newsday poll. And the question is, what are your views on the mask mandate ending July 17th? And will you still mask up in the public after? And your responses. The masks we wear today cannot stop COVID. Its RO is higher than 20, likely closer to 30. A full face, full seal respirator, self-contained or cartridge fitted will work. Another one, I will keep wearing mine. Wendy Alsing tell you walk is to run. We're going to end up in another massive spike. Do not be fooled. The only reason they're dropping it now is because of the FET backlash. Just because they stop wearing does not mean the virus disappears. A good move to restore rights and freedom in this regard. I will be abandoning the mask. The mask mandate has become nothing more than something conveniently used by authorities when they need to control a situation. If the authorities can condone thousands fetting maskless and then want to criticize a man on the street with the mask below his nose, I'd say they've lost all moral authority. I would like to keep mine on. However, it will work for some and might not for others. You have a responsibility to keep yourself and others safe. And that was a look at the responses on social media to the Newsday poll. We're going to take a look at the regional news now. St. Lucia has a functioning border management control system. The Immigration Department and experts behind the software unveiled the new system at the GIS studios on Monday.
The new border control management system can see travelers spending less than 10 seconds on the line in immigration. The first phase saw the rollout of the software at the George F.L. Charles Airport, the Rodney Bay IGY Marina, and Ferry Terminal in Castries. Radix BCMS of Gamma IT Solutions provided St. Lucia with the technical expertise for the border control management system.
The most important part of the border control management system is, of course, making your borders secure. But you also want to grant a nice travel experience upon crossing the border, not waiting in line too long. So when the online ID card system is in place, all the information should be retrieved up front, and then the processing of each traveler should be around 8 to 10 seconds only, which is a large reducement of the processing time as it is now with the physical card.
Travelers can also experience shorter waiting times at the Immigration Department with the new system in place.
St. Lucia has been without a functioning border management system for some time now. With the help of the Radix team, we have a state-of-the-art modular border management system, which means that in going forward, visitors and passengers who come through our ports of entry will see a quicker automated system going on where the immigration officers will not only hold the passports but put it into a passport scanner, and a screen would direct them before we go forward.
The system could also allow greater interconnectivity across islands in the future.
If we would look into the future and you say those islands will be interconnected by the same system, if possible, then of course it will be first security, that will be priority. So saying people are being flagged on an island, they know outbound from, they're coming to this island, St. Lucia, so up front we would know this person will come to the island and proper action could be made to arrest these people or do other stuff that needs to be done. So the more islands are talking with the same system, the more communication can be done, and that will be a benefit for all security.
The second phase of the Border Control Management System will see the rollout at the HIA as well as Marigot Bay, Soufrière, and Vieux-Fort seaports. The system will also grant authorization on records to competent authorities, including the Tourism Authority, the Customs and Excise Department, and the courts, for other legal purposes.
And in Grenada, moving from the private sector to the public service, businessman Andy Williams is assigned the responsibility of ensuring government projects and programs are implemented. Williams speaks about his experience thus far.
A new ministry has been created under the National Democratic Congress administration, that of mobilization, implementation, and transformation. That ministry will be headed by Andy Williams. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell explained that this ministry is tasked with the responsibility to ensure that the work gets done.
That ministry is tasked with ensuring that all of the ministries, including the ministries that I head, deliver on behalf of the people of Petite Martinique, Carriacou, and Grenada. It's tempted to name the ministry that will get stuff done. And we are at a juncture in our development where we need to get stuff done. And so, Mr. Williams, the same way they couldn't stop 6 runs during the campaign, it is the same way I expect you to score a lot of 6 runs on behalf of the people of Petite Martinique, Carriacou, and Grenada.
Speaking about his first day in office, Williams says he received a hearty welcome from members of staff, and he looks forward to ensuring he executes what is required of him as a minister.
This ministry is a ministry where we will get things done. And we are putting the framework into place right now that we can proceed. So the first day was a day when we had to start putting things in place so that we can move forward with the department.
Minister Williams spoke of the transition from the private to the public sector.
About it is that in the private sector, that is what you do. You have a project to get to complete. You have to ensure that you pull your resources together, human resources, financial resources, and in order to get the work done. So this is similar to the private sector. Again, the private sector gives you a more aggressive approach to do it. And I am eager to work, eager to get things done, eager to mobilize and implement, and also transform the country in the process. And transform through education also, not just through projects, but we can help educate our people in order for them to transform their lives in a better way. So it's a complete process, and we are up to the task.
Williams received his instrument of appointment on June 30th after winning the South St. George constituency in the June 23rd general election.
And some CARICOM news. CARICOM heads are set to discuss the creation of a regional carrier. Here's more in this report.
CARICOM leaders are set to meet later this month to consider the creation of a regional carrier. Word of this from Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves as he addressed the issue of regional air travel at the just concluded CARICOM summit in Suriname. He expressed concern about the decline in regional travel since the demise of LIAT and says heads will be looking for a solution.
We are going to address the issue of a regional air carrier of some kind. It may well be the revival of LIAT in some form or the other, but we have to get a consultant in the area of aviation to put the framework together and some numbers as a matter of urgency for us to move on. And sometime, and that is taking place, I've been given a certain responsibility to coordinate certain things, to get that going. And then to get the terms of reference in order for such an exercise. and to have a further conversation at the leadership level sometime in the period between the 20th of July and the end of July. Whether the meeting will take place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines or St. Lucia, I don't know yet, to advance this question in a very practical matter.
The Vincentian Prime Minister also briefly disclosed that CARICOM leaders are considering how to assist ex-LIAT workers who have been awaiting millions of dollars in outstanding money for 2 years now.
That discussion is inconclusive, matters in which we do not have any particular legal obligation, but there may well be a moral obligation for us to address certain things efficaciously, and we will seek to do so in a coordinated way.
And that was it for the regional news. Our next guest is Mr. Kareem Marcel. He's a youth activist. He's joining us via telephone. Are you there, Mr. Marcel?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Marcel, is it fair to say that you are the voice of the residents from Beetham Gardens?
Well, I don't know. I think that I am a voice. I'm not sure if I can say I'm the voice.
Okay. And so tell me then, what are your thoughts? I know you would have met with some of the residents after the protest action on Monday. So what are your thoughts on their claims that they are frustrated, they are fed up with being victimized, and some of them say that they are reported as saying that they don't see an alternative. They just want their voices to be heard, and there's no alternative rather than the protest action.
Yeah. Well, first to begin, I can say that I don't personally support nor condone the illegal protests that we have witnessed on Monday in my personal capacity. However, I do understand where the sense of frustration and the sense of it's almost as if it was a boiling pot as it relates to the protest action that we have seen on Monday, and also to recognize and to understand that even with the why is not condoning the illegal protest, that we can't afford to let the court issues be overshadowed by that. And the core issue is we have some young men who, without casting any aspersion as to the guilt of the officers involved, but a very valid claim that the young men, because of their impeccable character, would have been victims of what we have seen in this country as it relates to police killing. And what the residents, and again, because of the young men impeccable character, and because of the fact that even the remaining survivors, all of who have been released after 72 hours in most cases, then it really put some holes in the police story that these young men were brandishing firearms and that they were shooting at them, and in return that they essentially killed three survivors remain. So it is a matter of the residents calling for justice. It's a call for a thorough investigation, and I think that after the protest, because it was really silence, you had silence from the PCA, silence from the police service, and silence from anyone else that relates to an official government position until after the protests occurred. So it begs the question whether these organizations and these institutions and these office holders wait until these things, unfortunately, these kind of protest action happen to put priority and attention on these matters.
Okay, Mr. Marcel, there have been reports from residents that they believe that there's a stigma associated with residents of Beetham Gardens and other areas such as the Beetham Gardens. And you state that they're crying out for justice. But incidents such as Monday's protest action, do not necessarily aid in the public's perception of the persons involved in these such incidents. How do we work on this? How do we solve this?
Well, the stigma attached to the community of Beetham Gardens is really a societal problem, and I have no how to put it. I have no sense that in terms of with the stigma that society attaches to Beetham, that the protest action would help. However, we are part of a society that believes that whether we protest or not, they consider citizens from communities like Beetham Gardens and Leventon as second and third class citizens. It is something that we deal with when we go when as young professionals, as young persons from the community, people from the community going and looking for jobs. You have that stigma attached even in the interview room. You have it when you have to change your address to get into certain schools and change your address to get into jobs. And these are some of the things that the residents are facing. And many of times, when you see incidents happen like this, the first thing society says, for example, with police involved shooting, anytime, and I'm not saying that the police is always wrong, but I'm saying that the residents could never be always wrong. It has to be some sort of balance and some thorough investigation to determine the guilt by way of through the court in many times or through a thorough investigation. But when you have a society that deems every young man that comes from this community because of maybe how their hair look or how they dress, and they believe that they are pests and they are cockroaches and they need to be crushed, really and truly, the residents don't see the protest action, although it adds to that stigma of anything that is going to be different before or after such protests.
Thank you, Mr. Marcel. One resident was reported to have said that the other citizens, have to pay for this progress because they are protesting for justice and they're saying that they want to see progress. How do you feel about this statement? And is it fair that other citizens of the country are disadvantaged or left or held hostage?
I don't think that it's fair to begin, and I don't think that should be the approach. I think that the approach ought to be that we hold office holders and institutions to account, and try to do it within the confines of the laws. All right. So in my personal capacity, I don't agree, and I don't think that it's fair. That specific statement made by a specific resident, and I wish to condemn it.
Okay, thank you. What is the feeling of the residents at this time, especially considering the results of the autopsy the report that we got on the results of the autopsy yesterday? Do you think there is confidence in the investigation that is currently ongoing right now by residents of the community?
Yeah, I think that firstly the appointment of the investigator, Senior Soup Brandon John, of the head of the Port of Spain division, I and many residents share the view that that interview will in fact be thorough. We expect that no stone would be left unturned, and we have faith, right, as it relates to the evidence of the autopsy, the evidence of the surviving. Thank God that there were survivors involved, and we have attorneys involved now representing the young men. And we believe that once we are able to present the evidence to the investigator, and the investigator does a thorough investigation, then the truth will be revealed, and whatever that truth is, we as a community and as a country, we ought to accept at the end of the day. And if it does in fact reveal that the young men were unlawfully killed, then we expect that justice will prevail.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Marcel, it is reported that you knew the young men, some of the young men personally. What are your thoughts on the incident itself as well as the reports of the autopsy?
Yeah. I think that, first to begin, as I said earlier, that the young men, most of whom I knew, will have impeccable character within the community. Being they were young, they were in fact, many would say, as it relates to that night, would have been afraid. They would have been irresponsible. They may have made mistakes as it relates to that they ought to have stopped for the police and so on, but none of which warranted, in my personal opinion, based on what the survivors have been saying and witnesses, and the way that the autopsy has revealed, and the fact that the remaining survivors, all of whom have been released without a criminal charge, it seems as if that sort of action by the police service were in fact unlawful and excessive and ought to be condemned by any right-thinking citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. So in my personal capacity of knowing the young men, one of the young men, in fact, was so involved in church. He was a Baptist, and I recently watched one of his videos from a few weeks ago, where he led the youth group in his church to do in a concert as it relates to song and dance. And one of his statements before they started the presentation, he said, it's better to turn your life to Christ than to turn to a life of crime. And he wants to continue to prove to young people that that giving your life to Christ is so much better. It's so much better. This is young people in the community who are respectful, who never have been involved in a life of crime, in a life of illegal, a lifestyle of illegality. And that is why I think the pain and the frustration as well within the community would have been so overwhelming because of the impeccable character of these young men.
Okay. Thank you so very much for your input, Mr. Marcel. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, so we have to head to the news. Thank you and have a good day.
All right. Thank you.
The news is up next.
Seven is out, all day is in. WESN News on the hour.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming and virtual conferencing. We are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
In this season, we talk more about health, wellness, and everything in between. I am so excited to share with you everything about health and wellness so that you can design the life that you've always dreamed of. Join me here on What's Up Doc.
What's Up Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN, Content Capital.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing now, Andre.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is it no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
I am Rondell Donowa, attorney at law and host of Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Strictly Legal is a legal program geared towards informing you, the public, of your legal rights, responsibilities, and remedies. So be viewing Thursdays 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Artist sale at Softbox Gallery. For 2 days only, a sale on paintings by artist Real Leasing. The public is invited to purchase original oils, acrylic, charcoal, and watercolor paintings created between 2011 and 2021. Friday 8th July, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday 9th July, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Softbox Gallery, number 9 Alcazar Street, St. Clair. For more information, email realleasingartist@gmail.com or follow her on social media at Real Leasing Fine Art.
Burning questions, urgent topics. Welcome back to One on One, the show where we tackle the most current and pertinent subjects that are affecting all citizens, where we ask the hard questions and have in-depth conversations. What separates One on One from other talk shows is that the conversation stems from a younger perspective on topics that affect the fabric of our society. One on One, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. on WESN Content Capital.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best. I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in-depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the Content Capital.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion.
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us here on AM Prime. Our next guest is joining us via telephone as well. He is Mr. Delano J. Manjanu, Artistic Director, and he's here to tell us about his upcoming dance event. Good morning, Mr. Manjanu. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. So just for the public, tell us a little bit about yourself as an Artistic Director, Mr. Manjanu.
Thank you very much. So, of course, I am an Artistic Director and a qualified dance instructor. I'm the director of the EVP Dance Academy and the EVP Caribbean Dance Organization, where we have 10 branches across the island, educating and inspiring people through dance diversities and cultures. And I have been teaching dance for the past 10 years.
Okay, and what types of dance do you teach?
Interestingly enough, I have developed and branched off into several dances like ballet, Bollywood, ballroom, Latin, creative styles, hip-hop, etc.
Okay, thank you. So tell us about your titled event, Inspired Through God. What is Inspired Through God?
Yes. So this is, I would say, one of our most interesting and inspirational events that we're having since COVID hit. After what's been going on in the world and even within our countries and communities, I think that people need to be awake when it comes to the spirituality, when it comes to God and being authentic and appreciating the world or becoming a better human. And of course, we've always been on this quest as artists to show the world how is dance, music, theater, how is it beneficial to the world. And in this case, we're using dance, song, poetry, art to bring consciousness to others and inspire persons to get back to a spiritual level. So it's going to be a competition, a liturgical dance competition featuring praise dance pieces, choreographed praise dance pieces, as well as guest performances that will be singing inspirational, motivational songs, poems, and we have an artist on board, Miss Leslie, who has done paintings that is quite abstract, but they're quite original and inspirational and speaks about God and creation. So everything is about creation, consciousness of our spirituality, hence the reason why we gave it the name Inspired Through God.
Okay, thank you. And why a dance competition as opposed to a showcase, perhaps?
Pardon, can you?
Why a competition as opposed to a dance show?
Right, good question. So, as a dance sport coach with the World Dance Sport Federation, which is the governing body for dance sport, any dance is a sport. The quest is to always allow the person or the dancer to aim for the highest. So when we allow people to participate in healthy competition, is another means of development, because then they are aware that I need to be better, practice hard, develop my technique, develop my art. And for some reason, you tend to see that a lot of people in certain spaces get too comfortable with where they are at. But of course, a healthy competition allows persons to develop physically, mentally, emotionally, and understand that I am doing my personal best. So I'm encouraging persons to do that through competition.
Okay, and is this competition open to members of the public?
Right. So the competition was open to members of the public because what we did, we sent out registrations, and registration is now full. for both youth and adults, but it is free and open to the public to come and look on, spectate, and support.
Okay, so just give us the details on the event, when it will take place and where.
Yes, definitely. It's going to be on the 21st of August at the Vistabella Community Center, and they are also a very proud sponsor of this event because it's for the community. So no doubt it's better to have it at a community center. It's going to be on the 21st at 5 p.m. And also, we're going to have Inspired to God on the 29th, which is open to our Caribbean friends online on Zoom. And it's also free to all Caribbean nationals to log in with us.
So there is an online element of the competition as well?
Precisely, for all our Caribbean nationals. And we have about 12 participating islands that will be sending in their choreographic work of their groups, and all dancers, art enthusiasts, they're all invited to attend.
Okay. Okay, and I see that there's a DJ as well as part of the event.
Yes, there's a DJ as well who is a sponsored DJ, even our judges, coordinators, decorators, event planners, everyone that we could have pulled together within the community to volunteer, they have accepted and they are willing to support this event. So it's just for the audience now, our community, to come in, support, and appreciate the purpose of it.
Okay, so Mr. Manjanu, tell us how can interested persons get more information, how we could get in contact with you, and give us your social media handles.
Yes, so you can contact me at 7580701. Our social media handles are EVP Creative Center on IG and EVP Dance Academy on Facebook. And you can also check us out on EVP Dance Academy on our YouTube channel as well.
Okay, thank you so very much for your time, Mr. Manjanu.
Thank you very much for
I
having
wish you
me.
all the best with your event and all the success.
Thank you.
That was Mr. Delano Manjanu of the EVP Dance Academy, and they are presenting Inspired Through God, a dance competition to be held on August 21st, both in person and virtually for their regional community. We'll take a look at more coming up after the break.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fanzone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Artist sale at Softbox Gallery. For 2 days only, a sale on paintings by artist Real Leasing. The public is invited to purchase original oils, acrylic, charcoal and watercolor paintings created between 2011 and 2021. Friday 8th July 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday 9th July 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Softbox Gallery, number 9 Alcazar Street, Saint Clair. For more information, email realleasingartist@gmail.com or follow her on social media at Real Leasing Fine Art.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit?
Yes.
What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive. It is not rehabilitative.
We, the police officers, we are professional
and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole, it's for all of us in public.
This season, we talk more about health, wellness, and everything in between. I am so excited to share with you everything about health and wellness so that you can design the life that you've always dreamed of. Join me here on What's Up Doc.
What's Up Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN, Content Capital.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Sight, Thursdays at 11 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome to Talking Point here on WESN, the Content Capital. I am Keaton Shaw.
My name is Sean Michael Small. We will advance the discussion on important issues objectively, critically, and hopefully constructively.
Money is borrowed and it goes into the, what I call the political black hole.
Minister of Public Utilities, Mr. Marvin Gonzalez, he has a serious task on his hand.
People were able to get millions of dollars in illegal payments within the organization.
All of a sudden, the government has nothing to do with Petrogen and illegal matters. They've taken this completely hands-off approach.
And there's no perception that we will abuse our power and be breaking down doors, destroying property.
40 years since the Tobago House of Assembly became a thing that we need to get this right.
You look at it a little closer and say, why is it just a political ploy, or is there some substance to it?
Let your voice be heard. Call Madam Fix It on WESN, the only place that effectively helps you with your woes. Having problems getting onto government agencies, water woes, NIS and pension problems, potholes, and much, much more. Call me, Madam Fix It, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on WESN. Let me fix it for you.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sport?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing now, Andy.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
The Mary Immaculate Prayer Group and Friends presents its prayer breakfast on August 31st in aid of Monsignor Christian Pereira. The prayer breakfast begins from 9 a.m. at the Cathedral of Immaculate Conception. Cost is only $200. Come support the Cup of Gratitude in aid of Monsignor Pereira, August 31st.
Tickets are available at the parish office of the Cathedral of Immaculate Conception and the parish of Our Lady of Perpetual Help.
Thanks for staying with us here on AM Prime. We're going to take a look at the headlines in the Newsday newspapers. On the front page of the Newsday newspapers for Friday, 8th July, a picture of the grandmother of Isaiah Roberts consoling a mother of Fabian Richards as they visited the Independence Square location where the incident took place last Saturday. And the headlines, autopsies in police-involved killings show 3 shot from behind. This is the front page of the papers this morning. And in the sports to the back, West Indies secure T20 series. The West Indies have secured a 5-wicket victory over Bangladesh to complete a 2-0 win series over there. And the picture on the back of the papers is the Olympic gold medalist Keston Bledman with his daughter Zion and Zendaya and his wife Afia Bledman as they return to the Piarco airport after receiving their gold medals, which were reallocated to the team, of course, from the Beijing Olympics in 2018. And that's the picture. All right, so we're going to take a look at some more regional news. In Barbados, Environment Minister Adrian Ford is calling for action. Here's more in this report.
Environment and National Beautification Minister Adrian Ford today called for national action as he warned that Barbados and other countries are facing a dramatic reduction in arable land. He made the plea during the launch of a new clean and green recreational site in Mount Standfast Gardens, St. James.
If we continue on this current trajectory, by the year 2070, we will have little or no arable land in the world. And I'm saying today is a day for us to recognize and be sensitized to that phenomenon. It is also an opportunity for us to say we can do better. And so I am asking all Barbadians to start composting, start to regurgitate the soil, start to put in more soil conservational plants, because desertification, deforestation is now a thing that is going to affect the existential threat of not only the plants that we are talking about, but us human beings as well. That is why I say that biodiversity must be a part of every single conversation if we are going to achieve the land and the acquiescence of the United Nations General Assembly as it relates to land-based solutions to combat the threats and the vagaries of climate change and natural disasters.
And now we move on to our Watch This segment this morning. In a series of concerning events coming out of the UK unraveling this week, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced his resignation as the leader of the Conservative Party outside Downing Street on Thursday. Here's the video.
It is clearly now the will of the Parliamentary Conservative Party that there should be of that party and therefore a new Prime Minister. And I've agreed with Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of our backbench MPs, that the process of choosing that new leader should begin now. And the timetable will be announced next week. And I've today appointed a cabinet to serve, as I will, until a new leader is in place. And I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the breaks. Above all, I want to thank you, the British public, for the immense privilege that you have given me.
That was the announcement from UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson on his resignation as leader of the Conservative Party on Thursday. And that's how we end the program this morning. Thanks for joining us here on AM Prime. Thank you as well to all our guests, CEO of SwimCall, Mr. Kevin Thompson, youth activist and voice of the Beetham Garden residents, Mr. Kareem Marcel, as well as Delano Manjanu, with his telling us about his upcoming dance event inspired through God. Sean Small and Keaton Shah are up at the top of the hour with talking points, so be sure to stay tuned. If you want to get in touch with us here at AM Prime, email us at amprime@wesncc.com or check us out on all our social media platforms at WESNCC. I'm Leah Ann Jones. It's been a pleasure joining you this week here on AM Prime. Andy is back next week, so I'll be saying goodbye for now. Till next time. Have a good day.